Maybe I'll go ahead, Bindo, and just make the announcement so we can start. Is that okay?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, great. So welcome and thank you to everyone who's already here and to anyone who comes later and or listens to the replays. We had the opportunity 2 days ago to have a discussion with Bindaji because we had finished up the Taittiriya and we wanted the opportunity for questions on those months of classes. We can also bring forward today questions related to that or other topics that we want to discuss with Bindo to clarify our Advaita understanding. I think most of us here, but for the sake of those who may listen later, to know that there is a really valuable YouTube channel called Advaita Retold, and there you'll find the recordings of the classes and also of earlier classes that were in another house on Clubhouse, as well as some things that never occurred on Clubhouse, and not just Upanishads, but some other classes as well. So that's a really valuable resource. And I know for myself, when I first went there, I was confused by the videos and recents and playlists. And I find it, if you go to the playlists page there, then you can simply pick the Upanishad or the teaching, say it's Nasadiya, that you want, and it'll list all the classes one after the other if you go to the playlist section. So wanted to mention that. And then the last thing I want to just say, and I'll say it again at the end, is on Wednesday we start a new series of classes, and that's on this Aparoksha Nibhuti text. And I've already been looking through it, and I think it may really give many of us an opportunity to come back to these teachings from a fresh perspective outside of an Upanishad and let us look at things in a little different way. So I think that maybe even people like Ivy might really get a lot out of reading through this and the way we can crosswalk to other traditions. I wouldn't know. I'm new to this, but that's what I see so far. So I'm very, very excited, and we'll start those classes here on Wednesdays and Fridays at 8:30 p.m. IST. So that was long, but we want to make sure people know what's happening. We have one hand already up, and anyone feel free to come up and raise a topic on your current, where you're at in your path. Oh, good. You made it up. Welcome.
Namaste, Kumar.
Namaste ji. Can I start with my question now?
Yes, please, go ahead.
It's, sorry, just a minute. Yes. Am I audible, right?
Yeah, you are audible.
Yes. So my question is, maybe it's about Gita, and we are born in a specific family and in a specific country, in a specific city, in a maybe specific village. So is there some reason behind that? Of being born in a particular family and particular place. And what does it show? And if there is some reason, and how we can make best use of that. So that's my first question. Thank you.
Okay. The question, you have two set of answers. I'll give you the first set of answer based on what question you asked, assuming that you are accepting there is a birth and there is a death. So with that as a preamble, the birth is due to the prarabdha karma. The karma, which means prarabdha karma, there are three set of karmas. One is sanchita karma, means accumulated karmas. Agami karma means which is yet to come. And prarabdha means prakarshena arabdha, means the one which has now commenced with. These are the three sets of karmas. Now, how does the karma bring into action is something which is very mysterious. The reason is that we all think our actions have consequences and it ends with that. But the fact is that we are one of the puzzles of the entire universe. And we have completed the puzzle by our birth. But that doesn't mean that our taking birth is without the other puzzles. The other puzzles are equally required for us to be placed in one place, particularly. This is the reason why our actions, which are prompted by desires, when desires need to be fulfilled, we need equipment, which is not only the body, but body along with the surroundings. The surroundings depends upon the location, the place, the family, etc. There's so many things which are conducive for satisfying the desire. So to satisfy our unfulfilled desires, we take up a body in a certain womb where the parents, the society, this country, the atmosphere, the conditions of the family of like rich, poor, or whatever may be the social strata they have, all these things are selected by us at the time of birth. The Gita says that Vasansi Jirnani Yada Vihaya. Like we change an old cloth, when it is worn out, we take up a new cloth. Same way, the body which is worn out in the previous birth, which cannot fulfill our desires, need to be replaced by us for fulfilling the pending desires. So our pending desires are the prime mover for us to select the place of birth, the family of birth, the society, etc., etc. So these are the conditions under which the birth is taking place. Now, the secret behind this is that I told you that we are only one puzzle among the entire cosmos. The other puzzles have equal role to play. Not only that, the space and time and the causation also has a role to play in our taking birth. Due to which what happens is that sometimes the delay due to the time which it is able to get a birth in a desired place may get delayed because the conditions under which the parents are able to reproduce their progeny and the conditions to mature in that society or the country, all these things add up to the problem. So by the time we take birth, we do not remember what our desires are, but it is based on our unfulfilled desire this birth takes place. Not knowing for what desire we have taken birth, we start accumulating new karma and their consequences. This is what is called agami karma, because that have to be fructified later, because we are doing the karma now, that has to be fructified later. So that is called what is the bank balance of karma which we are accumulating. At the same time, what has been accumulated, all the desires cannot be still fulfilled in one birth because the conditions for each of the desires to fulfill be varying in varying degrees and location and place. So what is maximum possible in one birth, that can be satisfied in the present birth, which is called specifically activated karmas. That the word is prarabdha. Prakarshena arabdha means specifically activated karmas, which may be 30, 40, 50 or 60. It can be, I don't know. The number is not known to anybody. But what happens is that we may have taken a birth with a desire to become rich, for example. The situation will be around us to become rich. But by the time your desire to have the richness is forgotten by us. We have now given certain condition that because we can become rich. It may be a war-torn country like Gaza or one of those places where, Ukraine or some place where it is there. You can still make money because there are people who can make money even in atrocities by collecting the scrap or unwanted things or, bringing things which are very exorbitant by smuggling and things like that. Your desire to become rich is, the possibility is available. But your desire you have forgotten. But now you want peace and harmony and quietude in the place. So, even though the desire can be fulfilled, your present conditions, because of which you are in that, you do not know what is to be fulfilled. So you will be now desiring to have the peace and harmony and things like that. Your conditions to become rich is available, but you have forgotten that. So we are in a perpetual state where even though the desires have given us a body, we do not know what we to do with that particular body. But the regular thing like eating, sleeping, and all those things will keep on happening. But there are certain things with which we have taken an action and the consequences of the actions are readily available. And some people may remember it or remember in the sense it is not remembered in the mind. But the situations will be available unless you replace it with something else, you will be still driven by that on what you call the subconscious mind towards that. That is what is called vasana in our language. Vasana means in the subconscious tendencies in our inner being. So these things are the conditions under which these births take place. So we cannot know the reason why we are born in a place because we don't have the memory of the past life. But the circumstances under which we are born are available for us to fulfill it, and the subconscious tendencies are there to fulfill it, but the subconscious tendencies need to be invoked by special effort by the person who is born under conditions to fructify that. And that cannot be done unless we are guided properly by our parents, teachers, etc. We won't know. That is why when we are born, if we are forced by our parents to learn certain things and take up certain profession, we are not invoking our innate tendencies. We are rather fulfilling their desires rather than looking and developing our own inner tendencies. But there are lucky few where the parents and the teachers encourage seeing the tendency in the people to sports or games or studies or becoming research fellows, etc., happening. These are few lucky people who are their tendencies are getting nurtured. But most of us, the parents decide what we should do, or the family into which we have decided. Now, to be born in a Hindu family, Christian family, or Muslim family, we do not know why we are getting born into each one of that. There is a reason why we need to be born in that, because we have certain past tendencies which need to be fulfilled. That is why we are taking this, not only religion, the society, the location, the conditions under which the birth is taking place, all of them are guided. So it is a very, very, what you call, in the language of Gita, it is a very secretive knowledge. Even Krishna himself says that Gahana Karmana Gati, means it is at most secretive, the way in which karma works for itself. But as a creator, I have given one rule which the karma cannot deviate. What is that? For every action, there is a consequence. The consequence is conditioned by the space and time. And the time to fructify that also, mature that also, is decided by the karma itself. So we may have a desire, doesn't mean that we are in the right place to have it fructified. Sometimes we may like to have sugar. By the time we get the sugar and everything, we would have developed diabetes. So that we cannot take the sugar that the way in which we want. Sometimes we want all the richness. We will have the money, but by the time we are so sick that all the money goes in treatment of our health. Sometimes we may have health and all, but we may not get 2 square meals a day. Then we'll be working towards that. In the process of that, all these type of consequences are, which is why we really will not be able to pinpoint a mathematical equation by which things can happen. Therefore, the scriptures say it is the actions and the consequences which decides your birth. That's all they say, and then they leave it at that. Is it clear now? The second answer is that, now this is the first set of answer. Second set of answer, which is from the Advaita point of view, is that only if you think you are the body, you have a birth. The body, the mind, the intellect, everything is known to you. Therefore, the subject you is knowing your body, knowing your mind, knowing your intellect. Forget about the rest of the things of the world. They are all objects. So the subject, does it really have a birth? The birth which we said is for the body. So do we have a birth? Do we have a death? Advaita says, na jayate mriyate va katachit. This Atma, this self in you, this awareness in you can never die or never can be born again. The reason is that awareness can never be destroyed and awareness can never be created. You may have awareness of something. That of something can be created and destroyed, but awareness itself has no increase or diminishing or high or low. That variation is not there. Awareness is pure and it's always the same. And we are that awareness. And that awareness and existence being the same, it is two sides of the same coin. So we exist is in our awareness, and our awareness that knows that we exist. So this existence awareness is what we are. It has never taken birth. Even birth, when we are taken birth, it is known to us that we have taken birth. We may not remember, but it is a knowledge from the time we are a babies in the womb as embryos onwards. The third month onward, the sensation starts. Heat and cold, spice and non-spice, everything affects the baby in the womb, which shows that we have knowledge of things happening to us. but we may not remember it because the mind has not developed. The mind gets developed only at the 6th year or onwards, 5th and 6th year onwards. Slowly it starts developing certain things. That's why most of us don't remember anything before the 6th year or so. And same way, we can also lose the memory because the mind, which is becoming old, can get into dementia and have developed dementia of lack of memory, or the remembrance is also lost. These are all the body functions. But awareness is before that, and it is never born or destroyed. So, we do not have birth or death. What is having birth or death is only for the body. That is like any other matter in this world. It can be created. It may appear to be created. It may appear to be lost, but it is never created or not lost. Even the body, it is only changing from one shape to another shape. The rock can become a sand, but doesn't mean the qualities of the rock has lost even when it is becoming sand. The ocean can become a cloud, a river or a lake, sweet water, salt water, dirty water, good water, icicles or iceberg. It can take any shape. But the water, quality of the water will remain, whether it is a cloud, whether it is a water, whether it is an iceberg, or whether it is icicles, or whether it is a snow. The water is water. Same way, the things in the world will continue the way in which it is, and the awareness in which these things are happening is always a witness and aware in which these things are happening, which has no birth, no death. These are the two set of answers for your question.
Thank you. And one side question. So if someone migrates, as I am born in India, and then I migrate to US for good, and I spend the rest of my life there. So is that okay? What is your opinion about that?
It is the choice of the individual. There is no okay or nothing. As far as Advaita is concerned, nothing is really happening. It's all appearance in the waker's mind. The waker thinks that these things are happening. What happens to the happening, whether you dream in America or whether you dream in India or Egypt or Japan or Australia, you as the waker, as a dreamer, the yourness, that I should not use the word, it's not proper English, but I am saying that the I-ness in you has not become American or Australian or Japanese or Gazan. The I-ness is I-ness only. That I, without the name and form, you may not call even Kumar. The Kumar is only in the waking. When you identify with the name and the form given to the body of the Kumar, that Kumar is only during the waking. But your dream, you are not the Kumar. You have the experiences of the dream. In the deep sleep, you are neither the waker nor the dream. In the deep sleep, whether you sleep in the flight, while landing the aircraft, or while take off the aircraft, whether you take off from India and whether you land in USA, if you are asleep while take off and while landing, you won't know when landing took place or when take off take place from India. But you will see that you have reached USA by the time you wake up. Where were you during that time when you were asleep? You don't have an answer. Your body was being carried by the aircraft. And that when you wake up, you associate with the body and you say that, oh, I was flying between India and America. You will say that. But you were not really flying. If you had been flying, you should be knowing even in your deep sleep. You didn't know that. So the experiences of us is only in the waking. And we think that that is the only reality. But that is only 1/3 when we compare, we have the three: waking, dream and deep sleep. So when you know that we have three things, How can I say that I am only the waker? That is my reality. That means you are unreal as a dreamer, you are unreal as a deep sleeper. Will you accept that? You can't accept it, right? So therefore, you should understand that all these acceptances of the terms and philosophies which you are talking even in the waking is valid only for waking. But for you, which is the I amness in you, none of these are required. Because even without that, you know you are always the I amness. It doesn't need anybody else to say that I amness. It cannot be taken away by anybody. It cannot be diminished or increased by anybody. That I amness, when you are in your deep sleep in that I amness, nothing exists. You are all by yourself. Therefore, you do not know anything. It is not that you don't have a knowledge, because there is nothing else to know, and the mind is without any what you call perception, because the sense organs and the mind are in a state of non-existence, or in a case of slumber, you can say. Therefore, we say that I amness. I was in my I amness, and I was all alone by myself. I always use an example. If there has been only the sun in the sky and no other planet, no Milky Way, no Andromeda, no other cosmos or any star or anything, the sun will be shining, but it cannot enshine or enlighten any other object. So every object, or there is no object outside, even though it is self-shining, in the absence of the other objects, it cannot know whether it is shining or not. That is the state when we are pure knowledge or pure awareness in our deep sleep, and the absence of the creation of the world, which is the Jagrat or the waker is doing, is absent. Therefore, there is no world, no I, no body, no mind, no intellect, nothing. So the sun, the self-shining sun as a awareness, was all alone by itself. Therefore, it knew nothing. So when we wake up, we say, I was in deep sleep, I knew nothing. That's our statement. So whether your question, whether you should go to USA or not to go to USA, it's all your pure choice. That has nothing to do with Advaita.
And another question is about body. As you said, as in Gita, I said something, body is just a cloth. Varnani Jiransi, something like that. And Agni, fire can't burn it, water can't wet it, all these things. Body. But yeah, it shows like body is not very important. Yeah. In the Gita, it seems like body is, and you just you die and you remove this cloth and you get a new cloth. You should be happy you are getting a new cloth. But is it that simple? Because if someone gets a disease and he would be, ready to spend millions of dollars to get his whatever treatment and everything. So body is really, to me at least, body is very important. Even my one finger, I won't give it for 1 crore rupees. So in Gita, as they say, body is just a cloth. So I'm asking you, in Vedanta or in Gita, or according to you, how much weightage you give to body? Is it, soul? They say we have to self-realize soul. We are essentially soul. So, but body is also, to me, is essential part of me. And so how much weightage you will give it? 10% or 50% roughly? Yeah. Thank you.
Just one moment.
Kumar, yeah, go ahead, Trisha.
Yeah, I just want people to know that there's a valuable discussion happening, but in a little bit in respect of time, we'll move on and come back to you, Kumar, if you have more questions. But in the meantime, thank you for being patient and coming up. And anyone else who has things on their mind, please feel free at any point to raise your hand. Go ahead, Bindu, in response. Thank you so much.
Okay, Kumar, this will be because you need to study the Bhagavad Gita in the proper way. A haphazard way of studying Bhagavad Gita will always make confusion for anyone. Bhagavad Gita never says body is not important. Body is important for karma. If you think that you are the body is important. But if you think that you are not the body is not important. You will be, even if you get a gangrene, you will be ready to even amputate and throw away your leg. Because, or a cancer in your body in some part, you will definitely like to chop it off and remove it from your body getting affected by the rest of the thing. You are looking the body as a instrument. That is why when Krishna said that nimitta matram bhava savyasajin, you become the instrument in performing the duties. And what he said is that it cannot be burned by fire, cannot be wet by water. He is talking about the Atma, not the body. So that is why I want you to study the Bhagavad Gita in the proper way and understand the importance of the body to the extent why the actions and the consequences of action, the karma yoga, karma sannyasa, bhakti yoga, all of them are important in its own path. So study the Bhagavad Gita properly and then you will understand that. After the Aparokshanubhuti class which I am going to take Bhagavad Gita in this clubhouse. So you are most welcome to attend the Bhagavad Gita classes. At that time you can follow the Bhagavad Gita here itself in the clubhouse. Otherwise, get a good book of translation of Bhagavad Gita and study that properly. What is your question?
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Kumar.
Okay. Hi, Bimalji.
Hi.
So basically, I'm also from India, and my question is very simple. Like, what is the point of all this? Like, Advait Vedanta, or I have not deeply studied about it, but what I've learned so far is that, like in Vaishnavism, it is said like Mahavishnu expands itself in infinite universes, and we all are part of it, and like we all are like souls, and we are part of that one consciousness, and it is experiencing itself, blah blah blah, whatever is the theory, okay, and we just have to recognize it too, I don't know why we have to recognize it. That is the first aspect. And second aspect is that like throughout our life, okay, I'm in my 20s, late 20s, and throughout our life, whatever we are doing, either we are like we are always chasing something, okay, any desire, be it spiritually, materially, or whatever, okay. We try to label it as we are doing very honorable thing, but we are deep down chasing some desire, and those desires are caused by whatever conditioning, whatever experiences we have gone through our childhood. But there comes a point when some of those desires or some of those emotional needs are met, and we are just left with completeness of that drive, and there is a void. Like, what do we do? In that time, we either go towards any indulgences, like any intoxications, or lust or whatever. But the question still remains the same. What is the point? Like, if everything is based on the scenarios or circumstances we face, if we just remove the fact that we are driven by impulses, if we remove the impulses and situations, what are we supposed to do when we just sit quiet and observe?
So your question had many aspects of it, but I'm not going to delve into all the aspects. I'll just briefly give you a summary to all the answers, all the questions.
Sure.
We are the only produce in the world where we have not been given a service manual or a usage manual when we are born. Our birth and our life is driven, as you rightly said, driven by impulses and desires. But never have we been taught in our educational system, either by parents or later by teachers, or in the elementary, or from the kindergarten to the postgraduate or to the doctorship. Nobody teaches us who we are, what we are. That aspect is never a point for education. We are let into the field to do things based on the impulses and desires. Unless we are aware of who we are, how can we ever be successful in handling the impulses and desires? Because of that very reason, we are most of the time faced with failures and successes alternatively. Some place we succeed, some place we fail, and it brings of us happiness and sorrow as mixed baggage. But our expectation is always to be happy. Nobody wants to be unhappy. Yet, we do not know how we can avoid being unhappy. That nobody has taught us. The reason why we cannot avoid that is because we do not know who we are. Only if we knew who we are, then we will know exactly what is the capacity, potency, and capability as what we are, so that we can all the time succeed. This absence of this knowledge is the reason why Advaita has brought in time-tested wisdom from the rishis of the yore who have done the investigation, tested it on themselves. They became the guinea pigs to check whether what they have going to talk to their students, whether it is right or wrong. And they say that what is being said is with logic and experience. If you have followed the logic and if you are ready to experiment it on yourself, you will find what we are saying is right. But if you are not willing to do the logical aspect and the experimentation part of it on yourself, this may appear to be utopian and you may not accept it, because what is being offered or what is being told by the Advaita is infinite in nature. We are all infinite in nature. We are all blissful in nature all the time. We don't need anything in the world for being blissful. When it is being said that way, we are unable to accept it, because we all know one thing, that my happiness is depending upon things outside me, is what we think as the reality. I need sweet to be happy. I need a spouse to be happy. I need a house to be happy. I need children to be happy. I need wealth to be happy. Everything outside is required for me to be happy. At the same time, when looking down deep into it, the same object is not giving happiness all the time. Not only that, the same object at the same time is not giving the same happiness to two individuals who are in the same place or vicinity. While one may be happy about it, the other is neutral about it or negative about it. Or it can be that other one is also positive about it. But it is not universally accepted. So, what the Upanishad or the Advaita is talking about is, here is a time-tested recipe for getting rid of your limitation of the individuality as limited by the body, mind and intellect. And you will realize your true nature as bliss, where there is no fear and freedom is your nature. If you are interested in it, you have to come through the path of Upanishads. We have stories in the Upanishad, we have discussions in Upanishad, we have hair-splitting arguments in Upanishad. Everything is available. But one has to get ready to do that, and then only he will know that as the reality. Otherwise, what will happen is that there is a famous saying, Ahara nidra bhayamaitunam cha samanyamedat pasuvir naranam. Jnano hitesham adiko vishesha jnano vihina pasuvir samana. That is, ahara means food. Nidra means sleep. That is the body functions. All the body functions are indicated by one word, nidra. Bhayam is all sorts of emotions, feelings, thoughts, everything happening in the mind. So all these things, and Maithunam means procreation. All these four are common with animals and human beings. But human beings have got something specific. Jnana, or the knowledge. While the animals have got instincts, human beings have got intellect to know the right and wrong and decide which is right, which is wrong. A human being who does not use his intellect to differentiate between the right and the wrong, the good and the bad, etc., he is like driven by the instinct, and he is like an animal in the human form. So, when we are driven by the instincts and we live in the world, we are not living as human being, but we are living a life of an animal. Being late in the 20s, if you think that intoxication and partying is a life, it is exactly indication of an animal life, because animals also get intoxicated during the seasons, and they also progenate, they also eat, they also sleep, all the things they are doing. But what is right, what is wrong, what is the purpose of my life, who am I? These questions are never asked by the animals. It's only with the intellect, people who are using their intellect are able to do that. So therefore, all your questions can be answered or brought into this thing. Do you know who you are? Do you know what is your purpose of your life? Have you ever tried to ask these questions yourself? If you have done that, you would not have asked these questions. Since you have not asked these questions, can you try and find out whether it is worth doing it or not doing it? Then you take your next step.
Thank you for answering. I have one question, like which Upanishad should I start with? And to answer your question, yes, I have asked all this question, what is the purpose of life and all that. And the thing you said about morals and ethics is that what I have observed so far is that these morals and ethics are only a way people try to save themselves. If you give people enough power, be it money, influence, or whatever, these all morals go down in the drain. It's only, I think, question of how much power a person has, and if he's, can just get away with the consequences in this life, in this earth. Just remove the spiritual and universal aspect. If you give a person enough power and say that you can do whatever you want, but you'll suffer in afterlife, I think no person will deny it. So, I mean, I don't see, I can get philosophical satisfaction, intellectual satisfaction by reading Upanishads, but I still see, I observe myself, okay, I try to help people and I feel good. But then I wonder why did I feel good? Because in future I will not be, punished for it. I bring astrological aspects into it. Okay, this planet will be, balanced and all that. But when I think, okay, what if I have power? What if I just don't give a fuck about anyone else? I do whatever I want. Then what? If I don't get, if I don't face consequences in this life, because this has been the case till my college life. But since certain aspects changed and I started facing some issues in my life here in earth, then I got introduced into various aspects, Bhagavad Gita and Upanishads and all that. Little bit I've read about it, but Bhagavad Gita I have watched till 5th chapter, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and all these are valid only till I have any consequences in this life. But again, if you give someone enough power, I don't think anyone would deny. So just let me know about the Upanishad name.
Well, to answer you, even the most powerful has never remained ever powerful. We have history to speak about it. The powerful have fallen one day or the other. Nothing is permanent in this world other than yourself. You as a child, a toddler, the I-ness with which you had, that I-ness will remain with you as long as you live. That power of I-ness is the only one which never gets diminished. The power which you may have as a youth doesn't last when you become old. The power of a king doesn't last until he meets his enemy. Even the powerful like Hitler and others have faced the consequences of their actions. Nobody is beyond that. So, there is nothing which is permanent in this world. If you say the wealth has never remained as wealthy. The wealth is what comes will go. That is a rule of the nature. What comes has to go. It will go one day or the other. There are people who have passed on the wealth to their next generations and everything, who have become spoiled brats and spoiled all the wealth and have become penury. And they are ashamed of telling that they are grandson or grandchildren of the wealthy. There are people, progenies of kings and rulers still living in this one, the bloodlines, the so-called bloodlines, living insignificant, obscure life in this world, but their great-great-grandfathers or ancestors were once upon ruling kingdoms and things like that. What happened to that? It all shows that nothing in this world is so permanent. As you rightly said, temporarily when the power comes, the money comes, people throw away the morals and do that. But they also get into the consequences. Hitler had to shoot himself to death, right? With all the things which he has done, ultimately he had to face his own death. He had to take his own life. All these things shows that you are not invincible if you think you are a physical body. You are a human being. But Upanishad says that you are not the physical body because you are able to observe your body as an object. It has grown from a toddler to what you are today as a late 20s youngster. And you know for sure also that is never going to last forever. You are going to become old one day and you will be facing the consequences of becoming old, of sickness, lack of, power of eyes or ears, or even
Right,
memory for that matter. So what is that you are looking for, becoming with all the wealth or the consequences of that? It is not that Advaita is telling they are not important. They are things which will happen naturally based on your natural age, growth, and etc. In the youth, you will be looking for a spouse and progeny and everything. But when you grow old, that spouse and progeny will be useful for you to protect you. And if after some time, they will move on in their life, and because they have also got their life. There will be a time when you will be left alone to mend yourself. You may be either left to your room as an old man or an old lady trying to find out how do I spend my time and life. These things can happen, which all shows that whatever comes will go. But your I-ness, that I am so and so, has never gone through any increase or decrease. It has remained with unchanging, what you call, devotion to yourself. But you have always ignored that from the childhood till now. What the Upanishad says is that recognize that. Try to find out who is your permanent companion. Try to see the resource from that and get your strength from that, because that is the only one which has come with you, and that is the only one which will be there with you when you go also. But the you which you think you are will also have to be left in this world when you travel or when you go beyond. If you think that you have got a travel beyond. But Advaita says that nothing comes and nothing goes. Everything is here only. You think that you are coming and going because you think that you are the body. That is what the Upanishads are teaching us. So the entire set of teachings, what I have done in this clubhouse for the last 3.5 years is available in my YouTube channel called Advaita Retold. You can search for it, or Prakash will put the link in the chat, and you
sure.
can follow that. You can see all the Upanishads except the last one, Virhadaranya Upanishad, is only one which is pending, which I will be taking after Bhagavad Gita. So after this Aparoksha Anubhuti classes, which I will be taking immediately on from Wednesday onwards, after that will be the Bhagavad Gita, and after Bhagavad Gita I will be taking the Brihadaranya Upanishad. That is the only Upanishad which is pending. But I have completed all the 9 Upanishads, and the recordings are available in my YouTube channel. Start with Kathopanishad or Ishavasya Upanishad, one of them, or you choose which one is more apt for you, and
What
start.
about Mandukya Upanishad? How is it?
Mandukya Upanishad and all is very good, but that needs very high level of understanding of the basics.
Okay.
So start coming here on Wednesday and Friday. I'm going to take Aparoksha Anubhuti, which will give you the basics of Advaita. And once that is over, then you can take any of the Upanishads and start listening to that.
So in the end, I would just like to ask an open-ended question. For me, following all the principles and walking on the path of dharma, ethics is only and only due to for my mental stability. Like my core does not get destabilized. But the thing you said about power, money, wealth, whatever, it does not last forever. That is true. But I think anyone who has had these kind of powers and influence, I mean, even if you tell them that they're going to die one day, just one day it will be vanish. Like Hitler, he had to shoot himself. I don't think he will deny that. He will still choose that. And I think any human who has tasted that power will choose it. So what actually is the reason we should, leave that and try to follow dharma? Like for me, it is mental stability these days, like in a world of illusion and distraction. What do you think that should be?
See, we have a story of King Janaka of Vidarbha. He was a king who had everything in his hand. He was a monarch, Yet he had the wisest of the wisest all over the country assembled in his palace, and he was following debates on Jnana Marga with everyone. And his guru was Yajnavalkya. So when Yajnavalkya taught him the Upanishad, which is there in the Brihadaranya Upanishad, that discussion between them, both of them. At the end, Yajnavalkya says, Janaka, you have understood what I have taught. So Janaka says, yes, I have understood. As a Guru Dakshina, I am surrendering my kingdom to you. You take the kingdom and then I don't want anything in my life. And he makes a statement, Mithilayam pratiptaya name kanjana dehyati. Even if the entire Mithila is getting burnt, I am or me or nothing of mine is ever going to get burnt, because I am neither not the king nor the body, nor Mithila is my kingdom or the head of the kingdom or the capital of my kingdom. So nothing will be lost for me even if the entire kingdom is getting burnt. So Yajnavalkya says, Janaka, you understood. You have reached the state of fearlessness and freedom. But as a king, you have a duty for yourself and for the people of Mithila. With this knowledge, what you have now got, you will be following Dharma and you will be executing your performances in such a way that there is no selfishness in you, because you know the truth. And a selfless king can only be a benevolent king, and your people in your kingdom will be always benefited because of the knowledge which you have acquired. This was the message from the teacher to the student. So, even if you give the example of people who have got money and who have deviated from the moral ethics in life, they know the consequences also, but they are blinded by the power and the money, are the people who have not opened their eyes. So, we have a saying that the blind leading the blind. That is what is happening to such people. Even though they see the consequences of it, they don't see it. Paschyanna vijana paschyati mutho. That means seeing, they do not see it. They are called people who are living for their gratification. They are not living for the welfare of the society or welfare of the family, etc. They are only interested in their own gratification through the wealth and the power what they are yielding. And as I said earlier, these are not going to last forever. They will face the consequences if they outlive the power and the force. I've seen so many, I am now 70 years old, I've seen so many powerful people who are coming to test and have realized that all the power they misused, and the consequences are that they have become so powerless, and even people who have been tortured by them have started coming and taking their vengeance against the once powerful people. May they be ministers, may they be local powerful dadas, or whatever may be the terms which we want to use it. All have been seen by me, so I know for sure. Those who do not see this happening in the society are really blind to the surroundings. Only those who look around and see the truth in the things that's happening in the world, they open up their eyes and they want some knowledge and wisdom. And wisdom is something which you can acquire only with association with people who are well educated. And that is the only thing which will you in the path of Dharma. And the says that Dharmo Rakshati Rakshita. Those who protect Dharma, the Dharma will be there for their protection, because that is the role of Dharma. There may be delay, but ultimately truth only will succeed. truth will succeed irrespective of what it is. If there may be apparent cloud, the sun will shine irrespective of that. The cloud may come and, create a hindrance between us and the sun. But the heat of the sun is so much that the cloud cannot last forever. The cloud has to give way. That is the strength of truth. We all have to live by that, and the truth will protect us.
Did you want to speak again, A?
Yeah, if it's not too rude, I don't know why I'm getting so many questions.
Give
Okay.
me one moment. Give me one moment, and then you can go ahead. So I just want to say, of course, that everyone is welcome to always be in the listener panel, always. No pressure at all. But there is what A did by coming up and speaking allows Bindaji to actually, hear his voice and really understand the questions better than just putting it in the chat. It would be the same as if we only could read Bindaji's words and we couldn't listen to him. And so we always have an opportunity that we all benefit from in listening. If we can come up and give Bindaji the opportunity to hear our voice about the things that we're really wondering about. And so just in that spirit, everyone's welcome to stay in the listener panel, but there are some people who, if they wish, we have another half hour if there are questions. And so please allow us to hear your voice if you think it's the right thing, including your expressions of what's happening with you. The last thing I just wanted to say is I really appreciate where you're coming from, A. And one of the great and beautiful things about these actually coming to the classes with Bindaji is after the class happens, Wednesday, Friday, for an hour, there's a half hour Q&A right afterwards. And so we're able to kind of debrief, and we're able to really bring our genuine views forward. And it's not just falling in line with traditional views. It's true inquiry, and I can speak that myself. The kind of things you're saying are the kind of things I've thought a lot in the past. So thank you for being here, and please go ahead, and anyone else raise your hand. There is time. Thank you for giving me a moment.
Rosa, if you don't mind, I would like you to come up, and because you seems to have studied a lot and read a lot, and you are following Visam. Visam is also a friend of yours, who's a friend. We are a friend of Artemisia and myself. So I would like you to come up and introduce yourself.
Yeah, she comes to my house sometimes and corrects me.
Namaste. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, I have read a few things.
Can you speak louder, please? It's really hard to hear you.
Am I audible now?
That's better. Thank you. Speak at least
Yes,
that loud.
yes.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really great to come to these rooms and silently listen the explanations of Upanishads. I have read Upanishads, and it for me it really resonates a lot with the Sadrian understanding. So when I'm in the audience, so whenever Binduji is talking, I'm always constantly, perpetually relating where else I have read this apart from the Upanishads, and also the Upanishads, obviously the wisdom stores, and initiated and pioneered from there. So I like to listen and if the moment Binduji says something and it reminds me of something that I have read from the Upanishad, I immediately start quoting it. I have Katha Upanishad and the other one, which is, I think, Isha.
Okay.
Yeah, both of them are in front of me. I have not read, other than these two, I have not read the other ones. I'm planning to. So it's really, really relatable and resonating to hear the explanations. Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
Where
Thank
are
you.
you from?
I'm from Lucknow.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
That's nice.
yes. I'm living in South India, but I was born and brought up in Lucknow.
Okay.
Yes.
So you are living in South
Yes,
India.
I'm living in Chennai currently.
Okay.
I'm studying here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm studying
That's great.
comparative religion, so that's why it really helps me to see through, like, ultimately it's the Advaita that I find common in all religions, and that is something that I want to develop a language to convey as well. So whenever you talk, it really refreshes me. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Great. You can go through my YouTube channel. You will find all the 9 Upanishads there. I've completed all the 9 of them. Only one is pending. And I'll be starting Bhagavad Gita here, so you can follow that.
Sure.
Thank you, Rosa.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
You're muted if you're still there, A.
Okay, hi. Okay, so like this is very tricky and curious to me. Okay, I mean, let's say like we try to go with the path which Dharma says. We do our duty and we like stay detached from it. Try not to get carried away in any desire which deviates us from the path which we have chosen. That is fine, but this is Kali Yuga, and we can see all around us how world is moving, and we are seeing like the negativity, the natural level baseline for negativity is increasing day by day, and I mean people are getting naturally less concerned about basic morality. That's just this the social aspect. But recently I've seen like Google has released one of its AI model which has generated like whole video which is generated through AI, and it seems so realistic, and over the year it is going to get advanced naturally. So here comes the tricky part. So this will only add to the misinformation which is with humans. Like Binduji, you are one or two generation elder to me, so the natural level of ethics and morality is there, and what I know is only through my father's and my father's generation only. And so we have little bit regard about respecting elders. I'm talking about India, which is a very culturally rich country, but with the next generations coming, they are naturally ignorant towards it. So over the time, this whole like new generation, they won't even have what is the baseline of morality. Their only source of information will be digital world, which is going to be heavily regulated, which can be easily regulated and they can be easily be misinformed. And the AI, the advent of AI, the advancement of AI is only going to add to it. So I mean, with the people who are still aware like me, I'm like trapped between both worlds. So it is very hard to actually keep doing the good thing in the hope of like, okay, I'm doing it from the detached perspective. Like sometimes it is the easiest ways to don't give any damn about thing and just like leave them as it is. But I like my somewhere inside me I feel bad and I try to do the right thing. But like one part of me always wonders like till when I should be detached and keep doing it, like because the world is not going to care about it. And yeah, so this is
Okay. So here you should understand one thing. Suppression has never worked in any culture or any society. If suppression of anything from belief to desires to living styles to anything for that matter, even suppressing the truth from the public domain, it will not last long. if you have negative desires or things like that, don't try to suppress it. But you can get out of it when you sublimate it with values of higher nature. That is what is called sublimation. When you substitute that lower tendencies with higher tendencies, you are not allowing it to get suppressed, but you are replacing that with higher tendencies or higher values, which is why it is called sublimated. And this sublimation in the tendencies are the reason why the society, the public in large, and even the companies, like whether the artificial intelligence or otherwise, they will be moving from fake news and the fake messages to truth and truth value based everything. It all depends upon how many people are requesting for the truth. If people are feeding negative thought or manufactured news, which is part of going on now because of the, fun of doing it, not for reality. Most of the people who are creating fake news or, fake voices or deep fake things in the AI segment are people who are doing it for fun. But those who are looking for genuine, true messages are not even coming into the AI segment to ask for the truth. After all, AI is not a bad tool. The more and more people ask for the truth and the true messages, the data is going to be shifting from the fake and the manufactured news to the truth, real truth, what is being searched by people. Over a period, AI will become truth dependent rather than fake news dependent, because there will be less demand for fake news and manufactured news. But today it is a sensation to read fake news and fake messages and share with everyone. And therefore, the AI is helpless. After all, it is based on data. If there is nobody sitting there, it is working on the input versus output. So the machine language is choosing what is in demand and it is feeding that demand. Unless more and more people search for truth and the truth message, the AI will remain always under the clutches of those who are wanting fun out of the AI rather than the benefits of AI. But over a period, I am confident that humanity will not be accepting these aspects of fake news and everything. One day the truth will come out. That's why I said the truth will succeed everywhere. And that is the time when the same AI will be more beneficial and used by everyone for their advancement. I use almost all the platforms, whether it is Gemini, Copilot, Perplexity, ChatGPT, DeepSeek. I use all of them and I use them for genuine information, which is much easier for me to gather together and, concise. And in one go, I get so many answers. I don't have to sit and read an entire book. I can get a synopsis of the book, which I want to read it in one go. But what I'm searching is these type of searches, what I'm doing are minuscule when it's compared to the fake news and fake messages which are coming in that AI segment. But over a period, this will stop. This will get changed and replaced. So, what is your full name in the meanwhile? If I have to.
Okay, my name is Shashank.
Shashank, okay. Shashank, over a period, don't get yourself a victim of all these things. Knowing very well that you have made a difference between what is right and wrong, try to be away from the wrong as much as possible.
Yeah,
It will take time and it will succeed. Yes, go ahead.
You see, sorry to interrupt. Like, I am away from it and thankfully I can see some, distinction. That is why I'm saying, see, like, why AI is dangerous, because you are aware, na? Like you are aware how it should be used and how limit how much you are allowing it to like control your source of information. But data can be heavily manipulated. Like let's see, for example, there is a movie known as Snowden. So who was he? He was a like software developer working for the US government, US spy agencies. It's public news. Currently he is living in Russia. So what did US government do like years ago when AI was not even in the picture? They like mass surveilled all the data of US citizens and abroad citizens that government use for data tracking. Now everybody knows that almost most government track their users data, but with the AI they can like control and they can use it even more. So like we can see how change in presidencies is handling global level issues. And like I'm just seeing it from the worst case possible scenarios, but maybe I know that till the time I'm alive, nothing is gonna be that haywire. But next generations are definitely doomed. That is what I was trying to say.
No, don't think that the world is going to get doomed. When Snowden did that, there was a eye-opening for the society. Okay, not only maybe US may have gone through certain turmoil, but it was opening eyes of the so many other governments. And the outcome is that we can say the WikiLeaks, which came out, was bold enough to throw out all these documents and classified information in the public domain to call a spade a spade. And that was because he got the courage to do that. Of course, the outcome and the subsequent thing he had to accept under the pressure of the governments is a different issue altogether. But that message, which is that if somebody wants to stand and challenge misinformation, nobody in the world can stop it. So that those things are going to happen as far as the world is there. But that is when you are looking at the world. I'm saying a society will become good when all the members of the society is good. And how will the society will become good? There need to be a example set by somebody, and that example should be worth living by others. So somebody has to take the plunge and stand in the society saying that I am going to do this and I am not going to get cowed down by the society or the pressure from the government. If you stand by truth, there will be people to stand by you rather than stand by the fake news or the thing. Some people will still go over that, but after a period, the society will become better. And when the society becomes better, the country will become better. And that is how India was once upon a time. And not only Genghis Khan or from Napoleon, or look at Vasco da Gama, Columbus went all the way in the wrong direction also, thinking it is India. All those things, people wanted to come to India for what? Not for spices alone. There was a culture and there was some value which Indians gave to the world. That is the reason why they were all looking and wanting to come to India. Some history, what is available, we know that people have looked forward towards India. It was not India what India is today. It was much more widespread. And today's what is there up to Afghanistan was part of India at that time. So, and it was not South India which was known. South India was known for the spices and other things, whereas the Saraswati belt, or what you call the Indus Ganges in Indus, Harap, Indus Valley civilization and other places are the places where system has showed that this democracy was working. Even before the word democracy was known to the West, democracy was practiced in India. So these are the reasons why people came to India. No? So I'm saying that if a society wants to become good, nobody in the world can stop it. Even the governments will be thrown and the society will become the victor in the whole process. Joseph, please go ahead.
Namaste, Vinay.
Namaste.
Yeah, so a couple of things. When you was talking about this topic, it reminded me of Osho's tome. It is written in his tome that never born, never died, just visited Earth during so and so period. So reminded me of that. And the other thing I was going to tell you is like if there is no change in whatever it is, whatever bodham or awareness it is, then we call certain terms like bodhodayam and arising of the consciousness or awakening of the consciousness. So what happens to the consciousness when it's awakening happens and then you break the cycle of life and death? So what changes that happens to it? And are there any flavors for this consciousness? For example, I've heard terms like passive void, which is more like a Buddha's consciousness, more like active voids, which is more like Krishna's consciousness. So does anything happen to the consciousness as such with your references and with your knowledge? Do you have any references that what happens to this consciousness? At the end of the day, it might be just, as you said, from muddy water to a clear water, and what water is and essence of water. But is that information stored as such somewhere, or what happens to the consciousness, and what are the different flavors of consciousness as such? Do you have any inputs on that? Yeah, thank you.
Okay, good question, Joseph. Consciousness, as we know it, there are two levels as per the Advaita philosophy. One is the consciousness as an entity, as a substratum or the base for everything. And the same thing, when reflected through mind and intellect, is known as consciousness, reflected consciousness, or what the consciousness variations which can be felt. It is not the consciousness per se, but it is the reflected consciousness what is told as vritti jnanam. Jnanam is pure jnanam or pure awareness, knowledge. And what is called vritti jnanam is in the form of thoughts and effects in the intellect and the mind. What happens is that this vritti jnanam or the knowledge or awareness or consciousness in the mind varies between people to people due to the purity of the reflecting medium of the mind. What is the purity here and the impurity is that we have three types of impurities. One is ignorance, the other one is what is called the doubt, and the third one is called misconception or wrong information. These three are in the mind. And depending upon the values of these three, there are variations in individuals to individuals. A person who is least in these three are the person who is called the Jnanodayam or Bodhodayam, or the one who has awakened. The awakening is nothing but the reduction of, it is like that the sun is now shining because the clouds have gone. That doesn't mean the sun was less shining earlier. It was shining even then, but the clouds were covering it. Or the morning, when the morning and the evening, the sunrise and the sunset. We call the sun rising and sun setting. Actually, sun is not rising or setting. We are attributing that onto the sun. Same way, the consciousness is pure and permanent and there is no variation. It is called niratishaya, means without any more ups and downs. But the ups and downs, what we are talking about is for the conditioned knowledge through the mind and intellect. That varies from a Buddha to a Jesus to or Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, or Ramana Maharshi, or a Paramam or you and me, or even to the person who is in the negative tendencies like thief, murder, etc. are things. Everybody has got the same consciousness. But depending upon their mind and their tendencies in the mind, there are variations. That is why the Krishna consciousness or Buddha consciousness are spoken like that as different thing. But ultimately, the substratum or the sun, which is reflecting in the mind or the intellect, has no variations. That is Niratishaya, or without any ups and downs. That is always Nitya Shuddha Buddha Mukta Swabhavaha. Nitya means eternal, Shuddha means pure, Mukta means without any bondage or without anything other than that. That is the Mukta Swabhavaha. Nitya Mukta Shuddha Swabhavaha. That is the nature of pure consciousness. What we think as consciousness is related to the mind. But we cannot know the pure consciousness because that is our true nature. So how can we know our true nature when we are the true nature? Vitnyadaram arekena vijaniyat is the question which Yajnavalkya asked Janaka, saying that, how can the knower ever be the known? Then there is no knower, then there is, when it becomes a known. Therefore, there is no knower. Apart from the knower, there is no known. When the knower becomes the knower and the known are indifferent or without any difference. Therefore, the knower can never know the knower himself. That is the reason why we are never able to know our true nature, but we can only be our true nature when we are de-identifying ourselves with the mind and intellect association. With the mind and intellect, we can never know ourselves. Otherwise, as Taittiriya Upanishad says, the same mind which has a dependency on the words, labeling, and forms, etc., when the mind can get rid of the dependencies of the word for the mind to function, because the mind is always functioning because it needs words, labeling, or then what we call it as nama rupa. Otherwise, the mind cannot function. The moment we say mind means it will be immediately associating with the name and the form and objectification. But with the same mind, when it is devoid of any name and form, the mind is not dying. The mind becomes one with the nature of our own true nature. And in that mind, because it is no more using the name and form, is not having any experience. The experiences are objectification due to name and form. And when this objectification doesn't happen, the mind becomes pure mind. And in that pure mind, we are with ourselves, but we do not know who we are. We cannot say who we are, but we know we exist. But we cannot say, I knew my existence. No, you cannot say that. Because then I and my existence becomes two different things. There is the time when you become yourself. This consciousness is pure in nature, whereas the moment it depends upon the name and form as a mind, that is what is called the vritti jnanam, or variations in the consciousness. I hope it is clear to you now.
Yes, Binduji. So just a follow-up question on that. Again, it is, as you mentioned, it's like pure consciousness as such, and then the
Joseph?
mind and intellect. Yes.
Just one thing, you're totally welcome to go ahead with your question, but in respect of Binduji's time, since this is normally when we close, if you can bring it into the one question, that'll be really good. Thank you.
Great. Yeah, sure. So now again, the question was like, you're saying the pure consciousness, and we have a lot of intellect and the mind. So would these memories, a lot of techniques of meditation is to get the past life regression and the memories. So would all these memories be attached to the consciousness in some way, and would that memories act as a flavor to the consciousness and say, or we talk about pure consciousness, but also there is like past life regression and the memories stored in in some way reported to be stored, and people access their past life memories as well. So would that memories some way cause some impurity or some flavor to the consciousness? That is my question again. Yeah, thank you.
It cannot, because the pure consciousness always remains pure. What you are talking about is the mind assuming it has got a past life, and the mind is creating that life, which is in this life itself, mind is not knowing the reality. So when people are doing this hypnosis and taking you to the past regression, past life, what mind is throwing up is another waking imagined in the mind. It is not really true, in the sense that this waking itself is not true, because it is a creation of the mind. When we wake up from our deep sleep, the mind becomes the I, and the I along with that brings the world of my experiences. Just as when we go to the dream, the dreamer and the dream world is created in the mind. The waking and the waker and the waking world is created by the mind. But there is a mind for the waker, there is a mind for the dreamer. I'm not talking about that mind. I'm talking about the mind which is there in the deep sleep without knowing the waking or the dream. That mind, when it starts projecting the waking, it becomes the waking ego. The name Joseph or Bindo comes alive with the waker. But the name Joseph and Bindo is not there in the dreamer. When the same mind becomes the dreamer, there the experiences are known and the world is known of the dream world. But when we come back to the waking, the waker Joseph or waker Bindo now calls the dreamer experience as unreal. It is the story created by the waker mind. You cannot say the dream was real or unreal when you are in waking. It was an experience. The dreamer, for the dreamer, the dream world is real. And no way he will deny that it was unreal. That's why when a lion was jumping at the dreamer, the dream mind is ceasing to operate anymore and he wakes up. And then the waker says, oh, it was only a dream. But you let the dreamer say it was only a dream. No, he got scared of the lion which was in the dream. What these things are happening is that when you are in a condition, that condition can never be fully known. If you want to know the condition fully, you have to be out of that condition. When you are in dream, you can never know the dream in full totality. Same is the case when we are in waking, we can never know the waking. I normally tell an example. Sitting in a train or a plane, inside the plane or the train, we don't see any motion. But when we compare with outside the dream, outside the plane or outside the train, then we say the plane is in motion or the train is in motion. Same way, when we are in dream, the dream is not unreal. Same way, the waking is not unreal when we are in waking. You need to go from the waking to outside waking to know whether waking is real or non-real. That is possible only if you know how to get out of your waking. We are doing the dream to waking without our effort. But from waking, we are going out of the waking also. But that time, the waking is not there, the dream is not there, we do not know where we are. That's what's called the deep sleep by the waker. It is the story of the waker to call it as a deep sleeper. But the deep sleep is not, you ask the deep sleeper whether you will call yourself as a deep sleeper. No. He doesn't know whether he is deep sleep or not. Just as the dreamer doesn't know he is a dreamer or not. The waker only knows he is only in waking. So, the consciousness of regression, etc., are the story of the waker, and it will end with the waker. the regression of the past life of the waker cannot do anything other than in waking or any other aspect other than in waking. So consciousness cannot be considered as varying because you have created a story in the waking. But the pure consciousness, which is a witness for all the three states, which is present in all the three states, which is untouched by all the three states, are always in a state of pure condition. It is called Ebhyo Vilakshana Sakshi Chinmatroham Sadashivam. Apart from all the three, I am the pure awareness, always auspicious. That is the nature of our true nature. So the consciousness has no variation. The reflected consciousness may appear to be varying. Thank you, Joseph.
Yes, thank you, Joseph. Thank you, Bindo. Extraordinarily beautiful exchanges and the things that you spoke, Binduji, today. So thank you very, very much for that. And thank you for a couple of you who might not have come up, but then you did. Yes, thank you very much, A and Rosa. We're lucky to have you in these communities that you're part of, very much so. Just want to be sure that everyone knows you can join this house anytime you want for the people who aren't part of it. When you look in the houses at Advaita Vedanta, there are a number of them, but it's the one that says satsang at the end. And our regular schedule is classes almost every Wednesday and Friday at 8:30 p.m. IST, which is the same as 11 a.m. Eastern on the opposite side of the world. So find where you are in between there. We have an hour-long class. If you come in partway through, you'll see hand raising and chat off. But at the end of the class, then there's a half-hour Q&A after that. And in the chat somewhere, you'll still find Prakash put the YouTube channel, Advaita Retold, where you can find recordings of these and other classes. And over time, Binduji is loading in some of these more open discussion and Q&As that have happened. So you'll find those there. What else? Yes. And very happily and wonderfully, we're starting Aparoksha Nubhuti on Wednesday with Binduji, this very next Wednesday, starting it. And I think it'll give a different flavor, perhaps, of approach to Advaita. By approach, I don't mean a different method. I mean how it is we find our way into Advaita. So I very much encourage people of all mindsets to be open and come to this class that'll go through the summer. And when we do start, we'll provide the written text for you also in Sanskrit and English. So please join us starting Wednesday. And let's see, I think that covers the basic announcements. Just thank you, everyone, so very much. And please join us and come up anytime you feel that it's right to interchange with Binduji. Thank you, Prakash, also for supporting the house as an alternate moderator. And Binduji, if you'll close us out and make any other announcements that you wish. Thank you very, very much. Hari Om, Binduji.
Thank you, Atmisha, Prakash, Shashank, Rosa, Joseph, and Kumar, who asked the questions. And to all of you, Wednesday I'm going to start Aparokshanubhuti. It is a primary introductory test into Advaita. The fundamentals of Advaita can be learned in that book. Why am I taking this book after having taught all the 9 Upanishads? Well, here in this book there is a methodology given how to practice the 9 Upanishads to become a self-realized or self-satisfied or self-actualized person in your own life. The process through which the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana has to be done is well laid out. Prakash has been always talking about that Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, which I have been also advocating as a methodology in Advaita, is done in that Prakarana Grantha. Because Upanishads are talking only about the fundamental truth about it. But how to reach there or how to make it happen is explained in this Prakarana Grantha. So I thought that a introduction into how to do it yourself, or DIY book for Advaita is best at this juncture before I go into Bhagavad Gita, which will be an encyclopedia for our day-to-day life. So before getting into the encyclopedia, you should know how to handle it yourself. That is the reason why I am taking this particular Prakarana Grantha in the coming weeks. Starting with Wednesday, we will start the text of Aparokshanubhuti. The PDF will be available on the top of this room itself, and we will also provide the original Sanskrit one in the chat as a link for you to download and follow that. So see you all on Wednesday. Thank you for the night time and the questions, lovely questions. I hope I have been able to answer all of your satisfaction. If not, next Wednesday, please come up with further questions. See you all. Hari Om. Good night.
Hari. Good.
Hari Om.